Luke and Mark have only been in Germany for a few days, but Axel Niesel has just given them some wonderful news. 2 of the U-455 crew are still alive and willing to meet with them. These 2 men had been transferred elsewhere just before the boat's final mission, and therefore escaped the shipwreck.
I am Luc Brouwer.
We spoke over the phone, and we've come from France.
Gerhard Schwartz worked on the U-455 in the diesel engine room.
Here is his military record. The U indicates that he is a submariner.
I had no idea I was being assigned to the submarines. Everyone born in 1922 was supposed to join the ranks of the army. Under Hitler, everyone had to serve. This is Spitzer. I'd recognize him anywhere. This is Spitzer and me again.
Helmut Spitzer was a trained mechanic before being drafted into the army. On board U-455, he was assigned to the electric engine room. Although picture-taking was prohibited, Gerhard took many. Thanks to this exclusive testimony, Luke and Mark are learning about the real everyday life of these submarine soldiers, far from the images circulated at the time by the German propaganda machine.
Offiziere und Mannschaft werden von der Berliner Bevölkerung begeistert begrüßt.
The case of Günther Prien is a perfect illustration of the fabricated cult status enjoyed by submarine commanders, to the fascination of their crews. Prien had the courage to sink a British battleship within the English port of Scapa Flow, which was a momentous achievement.
This is the first instance of propaganda being intentionally used to showcase the U-boats. The Führer meets them at City Hall.
Der Führer empfing die tapfere Besatzung in der Reichskanzlei, sie zu ihrer unvergleichlichen Heldentat zu beglückwünschen.
Das war natürlich der Beginn.
This event marked the birth of the legend of the Aces, which was consciously staged for the occasion in order to introduce the submarines to the public on a positive note.
Recruiting new crews became essential. An ever-increasing number of young sailors was needed to defy Britain.
Und nun die Überraschung für die Jungen. Großadmiral Dönitz begrüßt Sie mit Reichsjugendführer Axmann auf dem Segelschulschiff Horst Wessel. Auf seine Frage, was willst du einmal werden, kommt prompt die Antwort: U-Boot-Fahrer, Herr Großadmiral. Und ihr? Einstimmig: U-Boot-Fahrer, Herr Großadmiral.
Gerhard Schwartz and Helmut Spitzer, like many young submarine sailors, were trained at the Kiel base in northern Germany.
We wanted to go. We wanted to achieve great things like others before us. All the newspapers published articles on the U-boats and their success. The Deutschlandfunk and all the radio stations talked constantly of their victories. For those who weren't in the Navy, it seemed so overwhelming. The things that one boat could accomplish on its own, the impact it could have.
We were all novices and we were somewhat bewildered. We didn't get a chance to gather our thoughts together. What's going to happen? We were leaving for sea, it was wartime, and you just had to take things as they came.
January 15th, 1942. The commander of U-455 made his first entry in the logbook, 0605. We depart from Kiel on our first patrol. Helmut Spitzer and Gerhard Schwartz will discover the high seas for the first time in their lives. The submarine leaves the Bay of Kiel and sets forth for the north. The coast quickly disappears. The temperature drops. Inside the boat, the men get familiar with their surroundings. Gerhardt and Helmut don't know the objective of their mission. Each sailor has his own theories. Are we sailing towards England? Are we going to lay mines or attack a supply ship? The captain alone is privy to orders from the High Command. Hitler is convinced at this time that the Allies are planning to arrive via northern Norway in order to cut Germany off from its ore supply. U-455 is one of the submarines sent to the Norwegian coast to await the Allies. Gerhardt and Helmut's first outing is hellish. The open waters of northern Europe welcomes them with surging waves and violent icy winds. The boat ricochets back and forth between the rising walls of water that slam against the hull. The lookouts do not have a moment's rest. The young sailors are unable to hold down food. Day in and day out, the crew members learn to coexist in the limited space the submarine has to offer. Each man keeps his growing apprehension to himself.
Of course we were afraid. What was going to happen to us?
How does one describe a complete state of fear? It's impossible to describe. I'm incapable of answering the question, what is fear?
U-455 does not remain in Norway for long. A naval battle has shifted its theater of operations and is now concentrated around Britain. On March 21, 1942, Commander Hans-Heinrich Giesler receives a message from Admiral Donitz. He must leave the Norwegian coast and return to Saint-Nazaire. Just like Brest, La Rochelle, and Lorient, Saint-Nazaire is under German control. These port cities are the ideal bases from which to hunt down the commercial ships that supply Britain. Gerhard Schwartz and Helmut Spitzer arrive in the French port after a mere 10 days at sea. The commander is frustrated. He writes in the logbook, "Entry into Saint-Nazaire, moving toward shelter number 2. There was no enemy contact during our second mission. We are feeling increasingly inferior because we have not sunk anything yet."
Arriving in Saint-Nazaire, the sailors of U-455 discovered a massive complex. The German Navy had settled here to build a giant bunker, including 14 cells that could accommodate 20 submariners. It was a small city with 3,500 men working on its construction. Everywhere submarines were being resupplied, repaired, and rearmed with torpedoes. This ant farm is what the soldiers discovered upon arrival. They had just come from the tiny port of Bergen. They could not begin to imagine this huge complex, whose sole purpose was to service the Battle of the Atlantic.
The United States' entry into the war will change the outcome of this battle. But for now, the U-boats are in their prime. The Americans never imagined that German submarines might sail right up to their coasts. American ships left their harbors unescorted, and towns remained lit up all night long. These were ideal conditions for the U-boats, who succeeded in sinking many ships.
Allein im ersten halben Jahr des U-Boot-Krieges gegen die USA wurden vor der amerikanischen Küste annähernd 500 Schiffe mit rund 3 Millionen Bruttoregistertonnen auf den Meeresgrund geschickt.
In this context, U-455's first American mission is quite simple: to find supply ships and sink them. The crew is determined and convinced of its strength. Commander Hans-Heinrich Giesler records the submarine's first battle in his logbook. That day, the lookout saw a tanker on the horizon. It was the British workman. Gerhard cuts the diesel engines. Helmut launches the electric engines in preparation for submersion. The first missiles are loaded into the torpedo tubes. The commander gives the order to fire. Nothing happens on the first shot. The second torpedo hits its target. 6,994 tons. It's a beginning. Gerhard and Helmut have finally entered the war.
I still remember when we sunk our first ship, the British workman. We were given permission to come on deck and look at the ship in flames. We saw people jumping into lifeboats, hoping to escape.
They were jumping overboard, trying to save their lives by swimming out into the middle of the ocean. And you know you are the person who has caused this, who participated in this. Not alone, of course, but you were still part of it. Would they survive or not? That's what worried us at the time. It worried me, in any case.
Less than a week after this victory, a cruiser ship catches sight of U-455 and launches an underwater grenade attack. 3, 4, 5, 6. From the first minutes of the attack, the commander orders an immediate submersion. The grenades won't stop coming. 36, 37, 38. Gerhard and Helmut will count a total of 39 explosions.
You hear the grenade fall into the water. Then you wait. What's going to happen? How far away did it fall? How long will this go on? Will it be quick or not? Where is the cruiser now? Where are we now? These are the things that race through your mind.
On its way back, U-455 sinks a second ship, 13,900 tons. Commander Hans-Heinrich Giesler isn't a U-boat ace yet, but 2 destroyed warships makes this first Atlantic mission a definite success.
They greeted us with music. The head of the flotilla was there waiting on the pier to greet us. As soon as we were standing to attention on the deck, he came on board and shook everyone's hand. I was given photos from Saint-Nazaire, where you could see Giesler being greeted with his crew. There were women round them. This really happened. He's a hero. He should receive a hero's welcome.
It was a wonderful feeling. Imagine, you've spent the last 60 days in the same place, the same narrow space, in one room. Only one room. You managed to make it back, alive and in one piece, and you say to yourself, I'm home. It's a very emotional moment. Wouldn't you agree? You feel so free. You do whatever you want.
U-455's crew stays in the hotels of La Baule or in the rest camps in the countryside. Enjoying the beach, sports, and cabarets, the submariners receive very special treatment.